Hey everybody, Terry here. I have a cold, so I'm just gonna apologize. I'll probably cough 100 times through this through this piece. I have our foundation rounds reset, so everything is reset in here. I do have Learning Plan 4 open for you. Continue reviewing your notes and the text that accompanies the simulation. The book material I think is really going to help you with the CompXM at the end with the board reviews. One thing I will say though is some of that is review for you. So if you get to a section and you're like, oh, this is really easy, don't stress out about it. But at the end of each section, there is something specific to the simulation, and that I would definitely read. So skim through some of those sections that you feel really comfortable with. If the finance piece is something that you're not comfortable with, then review it. If you're struggling with forecasting, go look that up and review it. Look at things that will help you be successful. You're all in a different spot. So some of you are excellent at accounting and finance. So that's not going to be a problem, but maybe strategically thinking about the simulation is going to be something that will be more troublesome for you. So I want to make sure that you continue to do that. There are a couple of weekly webinars that I have posted, Predicting the Future, Keep the Line Moving, and Research and Designing Making the Best Products. So those are in here under weekly webinars. Make sure to watch those. They do say like a half an hour a piece, but I would bet, well, this R&D isn't quite as much, but these two are half an hour. I bet they're about 20 minutes a piece, and then question and answer at the end. So they're not as long as you probably think they are. They're not like super exciting because it's simulation review, but I do think that they're all very helpful. And even in my in-person classes, I don't play these. I expect people to watch them. This is some of the homework, and maybe even more important than doing some of the reading. So that is in Learning Plan 4 for you to review. There's also a Flipgrid open for questions. I'd love for you guys to post things out there, go out and answer each other's questions. Some of you are did so well in the practice rounds that I really feel like you showed that you understood it. And some of you struggled a little bit, and I think being able to help those that are struggling a little bit with it would be a really great asset for you. So I'd love to see that happening. And you just type in your student ID and you can go to that Flipgrid. Your discussion though is right here. Forecasting is the discussion. So talk about how you're forecasting, what's the issues with forecasting. Specifically, if your forecast is bad, all of the predictions on all of your reports are going to be off. So it's going to look like you're doing really good, but you don't sell as much as you think you sold. Then that throws everything out. So you just have to be careful with that. Another thing that I'd like you, as you're beginning round 1, to think about is in your textbook, specifically the team member guide. I'm just going to pull that up here. This is the shorter of the two. On the very back page, I believe. Now my internet is really slow, so this is just going to take a minute to load. On the very back page, there are some strategies on how you want to handle your products. So you've got the same products starting like you did in the practice rounds. You can create as many products as you want. The only thing is, in this simulation, there are only 2 categories of products, high tech and low tech. So when you're doing these, looking at these strategies, you want to make sure that if you do too low tech or too high tech or some middle of the road, you're probably going to lose some points in the balance scorecard on that customer expectation piece of it. So just kind of watch that. Also make sure that you're not spreading yourself too thin, because it costs a lot of money to have multiple products. You certainly want more than one, but when you get to 3, 4, 5, it starts to get a little bit more difficult. You only have 8 rounds, so this can be challenging. So at the end of the team member guide, once this loads, I'll show you, it does have some strategies, and I'd like you to think about, what is your strategy? What is your company's mission? Write these things down, because that's going to be part of your presentation at the end. What are you trying to do? So now that you've done the practice round, what is your goal for your company over the next 8 years? What are you planning on doing? I also have, so because this is kind of a, I'm just going to go into Tyler's, I think, here. Because this is a foot race, you can actually move along these rounds on your own. So technically, you could go through 8 rounds in 1 week. I don't allow you to do that. I have a couple of stops in there. So for the next 2 weeks, not counting spring break, you do have the ability to work through 2 rounds. And then I think I have a stop in there. So if you run into issues, like I said, I set this up on my own. So just shoot me a message if it's not letting you move to the second round, but it should. So I'm going to go ahead in Tyler's and I'm going to go into continue into decisions while that's posting, just to talk to you about a couple of things to think about as you're in here. So one of the things that I always want you to be looking at is your foundations fast track. So make sure you go in here and you look at where you're at. Okay, everybody starts at the same spot. So you're all, this should look the same. You're Andrews Corporation. It should look the same for everybody. Okay, emergency loans are not good. They will derail you. So you have to be careful that you're forecasting accurately and you're not spending too much money. So I actually had students recommend in the beginning to take loans out the first 2 years just to make sure that they had enough cash to be able to do some of the startup things that they want to do, like building new products, building up their production, things like that. So that's something to consider. It's better than getting an emergency loan, and then you can always pay that back if you want. Now, in the real world, I would tell you don't take out a loan because loans are bad, credit cards are bad, all that kind of stuff is bad. So, so you're actually starting in the perceptual map of the low tech right here on the lower right. That's, you know, you want to kind of stay as close to that as possible. So make sure you look at your buying criteria. This really doesn't change. Your price should be between $15 and $30, $35, but I like to look at where everybody's at. So here everybody's in the same spot. I think somebody had like $185,000 for promo budget, which is why you had an emergency loan. This is in the millions. So this is like $1 million. Understand that when you're putting that in, so it doesn't look like you're spending a lot, but they just dropped the 3. Same with the units. So just understand that they're dropping the 3 zeros for simplicity purposes, okay? Your customer awareness, customer accessibility all affects how you're reaching your customers, and I think that's important. This is your reliability, so make sure you look at that. But I would also look at where you're falling within your competition for prices. You don't have to be the lowest, but you don't want to be the highest. So just kind of watch that for sure. I also like to look at, I think right here, when you look at your contribution margin, looking at your contribution margin is really important as well, and also you don't want to stack out. So those are some things to watch out for. So definitely look at your foundation fast track. That should be something that you're going into at the start of every single round. And then your pro formas are really going to be showing you kind of where you're at. The balanced scorecard is how you're being graded for these 8 rounds. So your balanced scorecard, you're trying to get the most points. This first round, it's 82 points. That's what you're trying to reach at the first time. You get credit for stock prices if they fall between like $1 on issue price to $18, you'll get partial credit. If your stock prices are over $18, you get full credit. So this is the guidelines for your balanced scorecard on reaching it. So price, you know, you can lower your price as an example and have an extremely low price, but that could definitely impact your contribution margin here, which is in internal business processes. It could cause you to stock out, which is here as well, so you'll lose points on that. You may not hit your customer buying criteria because your price is too low, so you might lose points on that. And then your profits and your stock prices might drop because your prices are too low, as well as your leverage. So these are all things that you need to kind of watch out for. And your leverage is your assets to equity. So if you need to know like what any of these are, you just click on the little eyes. If you're not sure about the points and why you're there, it kind of tells you a little bit about the points and how they're scored. And then it gives you some interim results. So if you're looking at like interim results, these are finalized when your simulation is completed. Interim results chart your progress towards those ending goals, and your score only includes a recap of the last completed round. So when you're looking at these, like it's only as good as what your forecast is going to be. So as you're updating these and just checking to see how you're doing, that's going to change once the round is submitted. Okay. Make sure at the end of every round that you update your official decisions, or when you exit, it'll say update official decisions, and you do that. And I think it'll say submit decisions or whatever. So make sure that those decisions are submitted before you continue to the next round. Okay. You don't have to worry about any of the tutorials. I think that's it for right now. So that's the first of many videos. I will post periodically just to show you guys what the balance scorecards look like. I just don't want you to go beyond round 2 over the next couple of weeks, because I want to be able to give you some more insight and talk to you about where we're at. This PDF is not coming up, but trust me, on the back of the team member guide, it's like on the last page, there are different strategies, and I definitely pick one of those strategies. I also think that there's some missions in there, so there's some information there that will help you pick mission statements as well. So I think that's important. So if we look at what we're doing this week, because of spring break, we have the practice rounds we're due this week, and then March 25th, round 1, and your discussion on forecasting, and April 1st, competition round 2, no discussion, but you do have a Blackboard quiz. Okay, so those are the things that I want you to work on. Blackboard quiz 1 will be in Learning Plan 5 when that opens up, and you can start working on that, and then just kind of keep plugging away at that reading as you're going. Okay. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Just another plug that on Tuesday, the 26th, I will have a session. It's a brand new class starting in the evening that you're welcome to stop in and ask any questions while I'm in there. This says it's due March 25th, but you're not getting points for each of the rounds. You get points for the actual end result. So if you do these 2 by April 1st, you should be set. So you do have a couple of weeks to work on this and to do some more reading, to ask me some questions before you push through and make decisions. You cannot undo these competition rounds. So hopefully that will help you. That's it for now. If you have any questions, let me know.